Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another breakdown and banter show with your host Usmaan Actor. We are joined here by Kojo and Abdul. Boys, how are we doing?
Oh, good man. Feeling great. How you doing?
I'm good. Abdul, how you doing, bro?
All good, bro. How are you? How's everything?
Yeah, not too bad. Good to have you back on. We are expecting
Yeah.
Rodri to join us at some point. Obviously, hopefully he can do that, but we'll wait and see. As I always say, make sure you do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Road to 1K. We've got two fantastic shows tomorrow. The transfer show with Joe, as always, and we've got a very special guest on the Q&A show with Ben, a very highly talented journalist. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be a class show. And I know you guys all want to know about Sancho, but this is about the breakdown and banter. We're going to go into the game. Sorry, this is the wrong shape. I'm disappointed, you know.
I don't want to know
But,
about Sancho. I'm bored of that saga.
yeah. Listen, if you want to know about Sancho, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned tomorrow. Like I said, you will not be disappointed. Anyways, let's get into it. Manchester United beating Copenhagen emphatically 1-0. Yeah, that's sarcasm, obviously, for those of you that don't know. Getting through to the semi-final, which is the most important thing. Kojo, we'll start with you, bro. How are you feeling first and foremost regarding the game? Obviously, the approach, etc. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, the approach was kind of what I expected for us to try and take control of the game, which we kind of did to an extent, but it wasn't complete dominance. It wasn't overwhelming for Copenhagen. It was like, we know how to take the ball from our third into the middle, but in the final third, we looked a bit off. We looked a little bit slow. Decision making was not good for most of it. But all in all, it wasn't the most difficult game either. That's what you expect. Copenhagen have done all right this season. They haven't been great in their own league. Finished second, which that doesn't sound bad, but compared to the gap in points compared from first second, it was bad. So, it was a game that I expected us to control and to win. We won. Wasn't the most beautiful, convincing slapping that I thought I think a lot of us were expecting, but all in all, we got the win, and that's what matters. So on to the semi-finals.
Yeah, no, for me personally, I was definitely surprised in terms of the way the game panned out. I definitely thought we would be a bit more ambitious going forward. Abdul, what were your thoughts on the way we approached the game? And was there any shocks in terms of the team section for you at all?
Fred would come to mind, honestly. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be Madish. But that just tells you that Fred is starting to look like the person who's gonna replace Madish more than Scott McTominay.
Yeah, regarding Fred, obviously you've spoken about him being the person to replace Matic. Rodri has joined us now, so obviously good to have you, Rodri. Sorry we started just a bit earlier than normal.
No, sorry, mate. Technical issues.
Yeah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. What are your thoughts on Fred and his performance yesterday? I actually put him down as man of the match, which I know a lot of people probably don't agree with, but I just thought he was absolutely fantastic. And to be honest with you, he kind of exceeded my expectations of him yesterday in that role. He did a lot better than he's done it in the previous games.
Yeah, I think he's a better player in European games, and he did all right. He didn't look too happy being taken off, but yeah. You'd expect that, and you'd think if Matic wasn't going to play, you'd expect Fred to play. 6 months ago you'd probably say McTominay, but Fred's come on leaps and bounds, and he's a lot better in Europe. And he did play well yesterday.
Yeah, no, I completely agree in terms of he has done, he's done considerably well in Europe. I think, the game's a lot slower for him, so it's easy for him to trust. I think we do need to take into consideration that it was a lesser opposition, with all due respect. Kojo, just coming back to yourself regarding the DM position, obviously Matic actually eventually got substituted on. Do you feel like we had control? Because we were saying in our last game, against Lask in the second leg, that we was conceded too many opportunities. Do you think there was a difference in today's game, or do you think there's still something missing in that middle of the park, so to speak?
No, it looks quite comfortable, but not in the easiest way comfortable, if that kind of makes sense. I think Fred did his job very well. To be fair to him, he did his job very well, especially on the ball. Was able to dribble out of some tough situations quite a bit, which is something that I've been screaming out for a while. I think a lot of us have as well. So it felt a lot better than, and well, a lot better than what we had against Lask or LASK, whatever they refer to as. So yeah, it was all right. I still think we still need something extra. 'Cause I think he's still a player that needs maybe 2-3 games to get into his rhythm. I want someone that's on the ball more often, unless he's going to be a start. But yeah, he did his job. He did it very well. I haven't got a criticism of him at all. So if he does start the next game, it'll probably be less of a shock. I think Ole wanted him because he's a lot more quicker than Matic. He's a lot more agile than Matic. So he can move the ball quicker, he can dribble out of situations better. Because Matic can't dribble out of situations when he's got 2 or 3 men around him. So in hindsight, it kind of made sense. It worked well. So I got to give credit to Ole for that choice of player and Fred for his performance.
Yeah, we've got a comment here kind of agree with what you said in terms of Fred and his capabilities. Ben said in a roundabout way, Fred's ability to move around the pitch is something that we've massively missed and is something that we lacked massively with Matic. Just going back to the approach for the game, Abdul, in the preview when I was talking to Kojaks and a couple other people, we both spoke very confidently in the manner in which we'd approach the game, in terms of us setting the precedent, us being the dominant force, us controlling the game, and it almost seemed like Oli didn't do well. I would assume Oli didn't set him up to do that because we didn't press them high. We almost gave them an opportunity to get comfortable in the game, which for me personally was very disappointing. Abdul, what was your take on the way we kind of sort of approached the game from the get-go, really?
Actually, I have noticed the lack of press that we have for quite some time now. It's not just this game, and my theory is that we're playing in the summer, and players are going to get exhausted faster than they would normally in a normal season timing. And when you do some pressing or counter pressing high up the pitch, that requires an enormous amount of energy. If you've ever watched Klopp's teams from Dortmund, Liverpool, even when he was at Mainz, he loved that counter-pressing idea. His teams were very, very aggressive, but they will always run out of energy very fast.
Yeah.
What I think Oli is doing is towards the latter stages of what we are in right now. He does not want them to exhaust their energy very early on in the match to preserve it to the end of the match. Now that's what I think he is doing right now. Obviously, on the eye, it does not look very good because you want to win the ball higher up and you want to be aggressive and on the front foot. But I think it's a good thing because let's say we get to the final, you don't want to run out of gas in the final after the first half. So that's my theory. Now, only issue is I found in our structure is that we're, like I said in the other show, we're functioning in 2 blocks. Now, this is my criticism towards Oli and the coaches. If we are going to be very solid and let's say we want to play out from the back or we want to press high up and win the ball very high, you have to do it as a collective. Till now, we're still working in 2 blocks, like I told you last time. We're working with the defensive block and we're working with the upfront, a block of like 4 players: the Martial, the Greenwood, Rashford, and Bruno, maybe Pogba sometimes. But the 2 CDMs and the back 4, they're not very close to that block. So we have this area in the middle where it's free, and that's why sometimes when other teams win the ball against us, it's easy for them to transition from that defensive block to that attacking transition. And we do get at, like teams get at us.
Yeah, get out.
Easy. Yeah, they get at us easy because of that space in the middle between Pogba, the back 3, and Matic.
Yeah, well, we saw that quite a few times, even with Fred yesterday, the way they were bypassing, like you said, the front block. the front press, so to speak. They were bypassing it easily, and then they're just running at 2 players. So I completely see what you're saying there. That is an interesting point regarding Klopp's team as well. That's something that I've definitely noticed is regarding his teams in general, especially this Liverpool team. They seem to have gassed out after 60 minutes practically every game. They're dead on the feet, but by then they've already won the game. So
if you remember his first Champions League final with Dortmund, his team completely collapsed because he ran them to the ground. Mm-hmm. He literally ran them to the ground from the amount of pressing they were doing. And I think that's what Ollie's trying to do. He eased off on the press completely from the beginning of lockdown to like the last 4 matches and now. Even in Leicester, we were not pressing really much. Just like, try to press 1 player, 2 players in the mid block, not very high up.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a case, Rodri, that we're being too harsh on the players? Abdel's kind of referred to the sort of conditions first and foremost. From what I'm aware of, yesterday's conditions were well above 30 degrees. The players have played a lot of football. It's almost like the fans, including myself, I've got to put myself in that bracket. We're expecting too much from the players, press high, energetic, etc. Do you think that's an unfair sort of criticism on the players? And what Abdel said as well, he doesn't want to tire them out because obviously, the next 2 games are literally within a week. So we haven't really got opportunity to be too over committed in a sense.
Well, you've got to put the weather into a factor of it, and you've got to put the games are going to come thick and fast now. It's like a little round robin. It's not usual circumstances, and it's a game. It doesn't matter how you play, as long as you get through to the next round. Then it's something you can build on, something you can work on, whatever you did wrong, you can go over and try and put it right. But you just got to remember, it's a cup game. You won the game, it's a clean sheet, and we're into the next round. So that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, the only thing that does matter in cup competition is, of course, the result. Kojo, coming back to yourself regarding, was there any standout performances for you? Because obviously we don't normally highlight individuals in a negative sense, but I want to try and highlight some players in a positive sense. Is there anyone that stood out for you? I know there's one in particular that was getting a lot of plaudits, especially in the latter stages of the game. Obviously, kind of won the game. But what are your thoughts? I'll be interested to see what you think.
Stand out. I'll start from the front to the back. I think Martial was quite good. I think he grew into the game bit by bit. His dribbling was sort of reminiscent of the first season when he came, when he was just taking on players without any fear.
Yeah.
He was beating players with ease. The only criticism was he wasn't convincing with his finishing. Shots better the keeper a couple of times. But all in all, I'll say he was quite good. I think Greenwood was okay as well. Not a standout, but I'll give him a bit of praise for trying to make goal scoring.
What about your best friend Maguire? I know you said starting from the front to back, but
okay, all right, let's go to Maguire. No, you know what, Maguire was okay. He was good actually. He was good. He tackled well. His passing range was quite good. His passes were genuinely on point as well from the back. He was a lot more sensible when drilling the ball outwards. So yeah, it was quite a good performance from him. And I think he marshaled the defense quite well. See, the thing is, I think he understands his limits to an extent of he's not quick. So playing a high line and pressing too much is a disadvantage for him, because if you're a quicker player than him, you're gonna beat him off the pace. So yeah, I think he marshaled everything quite well, considering Copenhagen were trying to play a counter-attacking game. And in the midfield, I'll give some praise to Fred. Of course, we praised him already.
Yeah.
And Pogba was he played a simple game. It wasn't anything spectacular, but that's what you needed sometimes. You need someone to just calm the ball down and play the sensible passes rather than always trying to make something happen. You want something to happen all the time, but sometimes you just got to say, look, slow the game down, bring it back to our pace. Let's take control of it again. And a few times that Copenhagen threatened to try and attack us and get at us, he was part of helping us calm it down and keeping control of the game. So, yeah, those are the guys that I would give some praise to. And I think they deserve some credit for performance of the game.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I don't think there was someone that was absolutely fantastic. But there was a few performances, in particular Martial for me, and Fred I've already mentioned were fantastic. But I kind of want to touch upon the defensive partnership, because I've already mentioned that Fred was a difference in terms of team selection. Abdul, what were your thoughts on the? You know, a lot of people have been wanting Bailly to complement Maguire. You know, did you think he was capable? Do you think he's capable of doing that long term? Obviously, if he's able to stay fit, of course. But or do you think it was a partnership that only flourished because we were up against a lesser opposition, so to speak?
No, I actually think Bailly is on his day. He's our best defender. He's even better than Maguire on his day because he's the complete package really. Like he's fast, he's very physical, he's good in the air. He reads the game well. The only weakness I see in Bailly is that sometimes he commits himself too fast. You know,
well, he got dropped, didn't he, in the box?
Yeah. He commits himself, and that's one thing. And two things, sometimes he gets drawn to the ball, so he moves out of position and leaves Maguire or a central midfielder in no man's land all on their own. So that's the only thing in his game that I would really criticize. But other than that, he's really, really good. But it worked yesterday. It wasn't bad. Like he cleared off a lot of stuff. He won his headers. The only other thing I could say about Bailly with Maguire as a countership is that Bailly sometimes has a mistake in him because he's rash, while Lindelof is just more composed, but he's not as physical.
Yeah, no, I hear the point. I think everyone, knows about Bailly and his rash tendencies. That's something that would go.
He's not as bad as Jones, though.
Oh my God!
Please. We don't need to mention his name. We don't need to mention his name right now.
We don't need to mention Phil Jones and fans together. Well, to be fair to Phil Jones, you can't even get fit, so it is where it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rodri, I'll pass it to you. So obviously we got an opportunity to see Bailly and Maguire, that partnership yesterday, and obviously Lindelof actually came on the exact same game against the same opposition. Do you feel that any of the partnerships edged one over the other, like for the semi-final, or do you think it's just a matter of who's, in terms of fitness, is in a better way?
If it was me, I like Bailly as well. It's just his biggest hindrance is he can't stay fit. If he stays fit, then he'd be a good partner for Maguire. I prefer him more than Lindelof anyway. But yeah, I'd play Bailly because he's, like the lad said, he's probably the best defender at the club. Wan-Bissaka probably have an argument with that, but defending, he's very good. He's a bit rash when he challenges like the lads today. He dived in the box. You got to stay on your feet there.
Yeah.
All the great centre halves there stayed on the feet. Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, all the good ones. They, when it comes down to it, they stay on the feet because they're good players. Or make it look silly, which he did, but we got away with it. So yeah, but to answer your question, if it was me, I'd play Bailly and Maguire because I prefer Bailly. I just think he's a better defender. He's just, like I say, his hindrance is he gets injured a lot.
Yeah,
he's stay fit, and he'd be a good player.
Yeah, it is a shame that you can't stay fit because I completely agree. I've actually gone on record and said that for me personally, Bailly is the best defender we've got at the club, including Maguire. I think he's better than Maguire.
When is Lindelof going to get his flowers, man?
Go on, coach. Go on, give him his flowers. Go on.
Let him get his flowers, man. The guy. I admit, his first season he was a bit iffy, but man, he's stepped up leaps and bounds. I think this season has been his best season. The thing I like about him is on top of his composure. Obviously, I think you need to be.
One second. Just before you go, sorry to interrupt you. He missed an open net yesterday, by the way. I almost lost my head when he missed that open net. Don't talk to me about composure.
Alright, fair enough. You missed one, but
sorry. I just have to get that in there. Sorry, I apologize, Lindelof.
I hear you. I hear you. But But all in all, I think he's on top of his composure. He's hardly beaten on the ground. I think if I'm right, there was a stat that went around saying he was not double passed this season. That for me is not like a huge thing because people get double passed all the time in football. But I think that's a good
stat. Surely, man, can't be real that.
No. It's a big thing because, like I've said this many times. He doesn't get beaten on his feet. He knows how to usher someone wide. He knows how to usher someone. The one time, the two times I have criticism this season, unfortunately, they let it go. The Giroud goal in the FA Cup, and there was another game where he was beaten in the air quite easily, and that was one criticism of him that I had. But he steadily improved that bit by a bit. Me personally, you know how I feel in it. I would have him and Bailly centre back, but
that would be interesting to see. To be fair, you can't do that, but.
Exactly, but I think he deserves some applause, man, because I think this season he stepped up leaps and bounds and he's been just as good as anybody in our team.
Yeah, we've got a few people.
Kojo, quick one.
Yeah,
Where was Lindelof and Bayer before Maguire come? And you want to play in front of Maguire? Maguire come in and settled the ship, the back four.
Oh no, I don't have an issue with Maguire. Like, well, no, I don't. I'm not a big fan of Maguire.
But you just said there you'd rather Bayer and Lindelof.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I prefer those two. That's not a thing that to say that I don't like.
I just think you're being harsh on Maguire. When he come in, he settled the back four. Yes, he's not the quickest.
Rodri, hear me out. Because let me land this one. It's not like I'm saying that Maguire is a bad defender because I've come in here, I've praised him before. I've also been honest and said that even at Leicester, I wasn't a fan of him. It's not like a personal vendetta thing. I just haven't been a fan of his. But I do acknowledge what he's brought to the club, and he has done very well for us. There's no doubt about that. So I'm not trying to, rain on this parade and just totally trash him. But just off the defenders that I prefer, I prefer those two. Like I said, Lindelof first season, he wasn't great. He wasn't on the ball. And it's taken him some time to just settle in and actually get.
No, you'd expect that from a foreigner coming to the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can expect him to take his time and eventually get there, hopefully. And I think he's got to a good level right now that I'm happy with him. Again, injuries. That's the only issue I have with him. Injuries and at times being rash. Because if I'm right, I think there was a time when it was him and Rojo centre back, two completely rash defenders. But there was a time when they were colossal for us, just for a little bit, So I acknowledge what they do. And Maguire's come in, he's taken the armband. And he's defended the majority of his United career, so he's defended brilliantly for us. So I will give him the credit for that as well. But I've just not been a big fan of his for a long time. But I can change that opinion. You know what I'm saying? I can get
The thing is, all three of them, each one of them has something that the other doesn't have. You know what I mean? Definitely. So if you're talking Maguire, Maguire's superiority in the air trumps both of them.
Yeah,
plus, absolutely. He's actually a leadership in comparison to both.
Yeah.
Lindelof's advantage over both of them is that he reads the game really, really well. That's his strength. That's what he is. Yeah, it was disappointing with the Giroud one versus Chelsea. Like you'd expect Lindelof to read Giroud's run, but normally Lindelof is amazing in reading the game.
Yeah.
Bailly just has a little bit of both of them, minus the leadership. He's not a leader at all.
You don't want the other players to be following in because there'll be a lot of red cards.
Exactly. You don't want people following Bailly at all. So like Bailly reads the game a little well, but he loses his head a lot, and he's more physical than Lindelof in the air. So. You have to just find the right balance between the two pairings that you're going to pick for the right game.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Sorry to interrupt, but Small is going to put a spanner in the works when coming back. If he's been playing the way he's been playing and all he wants to play in, because he might fit in there with Maguire.
Well, to be fair, Smalling would make obviously, I know he doesn't want to be a full choice centre-back, but he would make a very good squad player, I've got to be honest. But obviously, that's not going to happen. I was just going to say, it's a shame they can't be fused together because then it'd be perfect.
When Liverpool, Matip and Lovren were awful, one player comes in and they look like world beaters. So that's all it takes is one player. So if Smalling, he can defend. Yes, he's not great with passing. Yes, he's not great in bringing the ball out. So Maguire can do all that. Yeah.
Very good in the air, yeah. No, it's a valid point. I think Smalling definitely is within a shout, but it just depends on the direction which Ali wants to take it. It does seem like he wants to play out the back, and I think we could all respect that Smalling is not the person to do that going forward. I just want to read some of the comments in the chat, because obviously there's quite a few regarding to what you guys have said. Few are agreeing with, well, it's a few on both sides, really. Some are saying Bailly is far too reckless, which was Joe. He also said, he also added, let me just put it on the screen, Lindelof should start over him every day of the week, but we need an upgrade on both of them, which is a valid point. I think a lot of people think if we are going to go to the next step, we potentially need an upgrade. Obviously, I know Kojo, feels that Lindelof doesn't get enough respect, basically. I do agree with that also. A few other comments from Man United Focus saying Bailly compliments Maguire well, and I think I personally agree with that. I think it is harsh on Lindelof, though. I've got to be honest. I think he's been fantastic this season. So I do think it's a difficult decision, but I wouldn't rely on Bailly because he could be injured in literally next 2 days. So it's too risky, isn't it, relying on Bayer for me personally. But I did actually want to stay on the defence, moving forward on to the next topic, which is the fullbacks. Not in particular targeting either of them, saying, oh, they're not good enough or anything. More regarding how we want to play. So I just want to give an example of a game that I think is probably our best performance of the season from a tactical standpoint. I don't know if it was Sheffield United or Bournemouth. I think it was Bournemouth when we sustained a lot of attacks, and that was down to the fact that the DM was dropping into the midfield, and it was almost like we were playing a 3-4-3 with our fullbacks basically pushed so far up the pitch, which allowed us to sustain attack. And obviously, again, I don't want to compare it to other teams, but Man City always do that with their fullback push as wingers. Obviously, Liverpool do the exact same. And since Luke Shaw hasn't been fit, Brandon Williams and Wan-Bissaka, to be fair, it doesn't seem like the fullbacks are offering much going forward. Abdul, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think I'm being not overcritical, but do you think that's something that we need to consider, or do you think it's just a matter of them being too tired?
If I'm being completely ruthless with this, we definitely need an upgrade on the left back side. Yeah. Wan-Bissaka offers a solidity in defense. Yes, he does not. If you're going to compare Wan-Bissaka to someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold or Alphonso Davies on the left back for Bayern Munich, then yeah, Wan-Bissaka is not really good in going forward. But he offers the opposite of what these guys bring, which has its own uses. But on the left back side of things, Luke Shaw is good, but he's not bad. I'm not trying to downplay what Luke Shaw brings to the team, but there's definitely an upgrade on Luke Shaw. And Brandon Williams is still, for me, I would say it's still his first season in professional football, so I won't be too critical on him, but he's not really performing the last few games. So, he did not take on the mantle from Luke Shaw when Luke Shaw got injured. Post-lockdown.
Yeah, no, I do agree in terms of Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka, I've got to say, yesterday, I thought he was fantastic. Honestly, generally, I did think, and obviously I know people are going to say, oh, he doesn't get forward, he doesn't do X, Y, and Z, but defensively, he just, as a fan watching the game, I feel so assured with anyone going down his side. I genuinely think he's got it on complete lock. Obviously, he's not
change side.
Yeah, exactly. They have to change side. He's not a Superman. There are going to be occasions where people get past him, but it's almost crazy to think if someone actually gets past him, you're like, oh my god, someone's got past him. It's that unfrequent. So I think Wan-Bissaka for me is fantastic. Coach, we'll come to you before we come to you, Roger. Do you think, in terms of the fullbacks, obviously not so much the individuals, but tactically, do you think it is effective? Because we saw that partnership building with Luke Shaw and Rashford, and obviously James being right forward, it is difficult for him to play there. But do you think we are missing that extra sort of option down the wings? Because it seems, especially in the last couple of games, we have been a bit predictable in terms of our patterns of play, the way we're trying to break teams down, etc.
I think what we miss about Shaw is, well, first of all, the fact that he's footed playing at left back, because Brandon Williams obviously being right footed presents the point that he's definitely going to cut in. Shaw, because he cuts in sometimes and goes out wide sometimes, you don't know what he's going to do. Has a bit of unpredictability about the team, and he tends to link better with Rashford, but then he's had time to work with Rashford to work on that left side. Maybe Brandon Williams ain't too used to that with Rashford just yet. Could be a bit of both, but we do miss Shaw. Brandon Williams hasn't done a terrible job at all. I'm not trying to, say he's been poor, but he's been all right. But we do miss Shaw. I think what it is obviously in football, other fans look at other teams, they see Trent and Robertson whipping balls in left, right, and centre, but that's not the same football we play, so it's not going to give the same results.
Exactly.
And stats is one thing, but we ignore what Shaw does. Shaw also defensively is quite good as well. He tends to read the game well. He tends to sometimes be the last man that clears a ball out when it's whipped in from the other side. So these are other things that we forget about him that need to be respected. So, I understand that, in this era of football, it's all about stats, and they want crosses day in and day out, and they want assists here and there. But it's not the same for every team, and it's not the same for Shaw. He's not Robertson. And the same for Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka is not Trent, and we're not playing the same football as Liverpool, so he's going to get the chance to whip as many balls in as Trent does. And he can do a lot more going forward, but he's also very, very sensational defensively, as you alluded to. So, yeah, we do miss Shaw, and I think when he comes back, we'll respect him a bit more. But we gotta also be patient with Brandon Williams. Is he 18, 19? I mean, we
Yeah,
gotta
it's
take
very
our
young.
time.
Yeah, he just turned 19. Yeah.
Yeah, so we gotta take our time with him. And but yeah, I can't wait to see Shaw back. Probably next season.
Yeah, well, obviously, hopefully, he can stay fit, of course. Similar to Baye as well. He's another person that's always injured. Rodri, just to move on from this performance, we've already alluded to the fact that the most important thing was the result. Of course, we put us into the semi-final. I want to just finish up on talking about the semi-final itself and the approach to the game. Of course, we don't currently know who we are playing. By all means, let me know who you would prefer to play as well. But how would you approach the game, Rodri, in terms of how do you set the team up? Would you still go for the 4-2-3-1, or do you think he's going to mix you up?
Oh, that'll determine how they play. Yeah, that'll determine how they play. But I'm pretty sure you'll go with it more or less the same 11. Maybe one or two changes, if that. You want to try and keep it fluent and keep it going. Yeah, I prefer a bit of more balance with Shaw on the left or a left-footed side.
Yeah.
Even though Brandon Williams at his age and at the club here and the level he's playing at, he's done a very good job. Even like Coach will say, he is right-footed, so we've got to give him some slack. And yeah, that's just determined who we get and how they play. But ultimately, we've got to worry what we do, and if we play well, then we'll beat anyone who's left. So we've got to rest up, get the energy levels back up, and obviously see who we're playing, see after tonight, and then just take it from there. But
who would you prefer to play, Rodri? If I was to give you an option, who would you take?
what's the option? What's the option?
Wolves or Sevilla, sir?
They're both the two both difficult matches, then, aren't they? Wolves, you know all about. So you'd probably go Wolves, but
Yeah.
either one, you'd still expect a Manchester United side, but the team we've got to beat Sevilla or Wolves. So either team.
Yeah, so I do agree in terms of, the approach, of course, does depend on the team that we get, because I think it would vary depending on the two teams. Abdul, we'll pass it to you. Obviously, who would you prefer to have? And also, how would you approach the game? Of course, we've alluded to the fact that it'll be different for both teams, but who do you think is the easy draw for us?
I think Sevilla would be a bit easier because they will get at us. They will not sit back and try to absorb what we throw at them, which really could give us a lot of chances to counter them easy with Bruno, Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood. If we're starting, I know they'll start. But Wolves, we know them. Wolves, we played them four times this season. It's going to be the fifth if we do play them again.
I know.
And their game plan is simple: just sit and counter with their wing backs and Jota and João Moutinho up front.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sick and tired of seeing Wolves' kit. Like, I don't. It's hard to pick because I think Sevilla are actually a really good team.
They are.
Obviously, Sevilla is for me personally. Looking at both the oppositions, they play completely different styles, and obviously, as a United fan, you need to look at the way they could hurt us. Obviously, Sevilla are a very good possession team, and I feel like that might play into our hands because obviously we probably play more reserved and hit it on the break. On the other hand, Wolves will probably allow us to set the precedent and hit us on the break. And if they got a Traore, just to finish off, Coach, sorry, I don't know where that's come from. Coach, who would you rather have, and obviously how would you approach the game if obviously either of the oppositions?
I actually don't know. I think you spoke before, and I said Wolves with confidence, but bro, this time I'm actually not sure because. See, the thing about Sevilla is they've won this competition far too many times for me to be too comfortable about playing them.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's different management now, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why they keep these semi-finals / finals in the Europa League, and they are a very good football team at the end of the day. Wolves, we tend to have issues with them. I mean, we know them, but for some reason, we don't tend to beat them often. I think when we went there earlier this season, we drew that game, didn't we? We never scored from like long range.
That absolute worldie that he scored again. He loves it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Bruno's debut was a 0-0. We did beat them in the cup, but
eventually,
it's not the most convincing. But you know, as Rodri said, it's a cup. It's a cup competition, so it's a one-time, it's a one-off. It's not two legs. So if you play poor, you win. Who cares? So who I prefer? I'm gonna go Wolves. I'm gonna go Wolves.
You stick it to Wolves after all that,
Yeah.
Better
and
the
how
devil
I-
you know than the one you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And how I would approach the game. The funny thing about Wolves is they like to try and control, but they're very much a counter-attacking side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if they start Adama Traore. Regardless, though, you know he's going to be on the pitch at some point. So whenever he comes on, or if he starts, I'm not going to lie to you, we need to double on that guy and double fast because I do fear for
Yeah,
William
100%.
if
Yeah, I
he's
was
one
about
on
to say the exact same thing.
Yeah. So I would try to control the game, but there has to be a lot of structure to this. We cannot go gung ho. I think we have to. We probably have to tell our fullbacks to sit back a bit more because we also have to remember that Jota's got a lot of pace on the other side as well. And Ruben Neves is passing as well as Moutinho, who's not spoken about enough. Moutinho with always experience.
Baller.
Yeah, absolute footballer. It could be a problem, but I would prefer to face them just because I've watched Sevilla this season. I love watching La Liga. They're a very, very good footballing side, but I don't know if the team would be able to cope with their strengths compared to their weaknesses. So I would prefer to go for the devil, rather than the devil.
Oh, you love to see man's dropped the line right at the end of that. I love that. Was that on? I'm sure. Was that on BT or something? I feel like I've heard someone say that to someone.
I heard it somewhere. I can't remember where exactly.
I think someone said it to Ali, I think. But listen, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Let us know who you would rather play. Obviously, we'll find out tonight. Also, let us know regarding anything else that we've discussed during the show. And as always, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. As I mentioned right at the start of the show, we've got two very good shows for you. And I know all of you want to know about Sancho. Well, there will be some news for you tomorrow. Hopefully, some positive news. It's so top secret. I don't even know what's going on. But you'll find that tomorrow on the channel. But apart from that, it's been your host, Usmaan Akhtar. So we say a massive thank you to our panel. Thank you very much, boys, for coming on. And hopefully, we'll see you in positive spirits on Monday come the end of the game. Anyways, peace.
No problem.
Go,
Have a
Joe.
good day.
Come on, United! Come on! J-Links, let's go.
Yelling.